We have arrived at the Laura Ingalls Wilder Museum and Historic Site. The houses are at another location, I understand. Now, if this isn't gorgeous prairie, like Little House on the Prairie. My daughter-in-law absolutely loves Laura Ingalls Wilder, and my son and daughter-in-law live up here in Minnesota, Minneapolis. But he proposed to her at, I don't know whether it was Walnut Grove or the other place. He proposed to her there because she loves Laura Ingalls. So I kind of wanted to get this path. So they started out here, and then Laura and her family. And Laura was born here?
Yeah, and I think married too.
And married too. And then they wagon trained all the way down to Kansas. Independence. And then they wagon trained all the way back up here. Yeah. But Carrie, sister to Laura, was born down here.
Yeah.
And then they moved over here.
Okay.
Through Minnesota and De Smet.
And then between Carrie and Grace, they had the little boy, and he was about 18 months old. They started to Burr Oak, and somewhere in here he died.
Aww.
And then they moved to Burr Oak and stayed there a while. Then they went back to Walnut Grove.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, they lived on the banks of Plum Creek in the meantime.
And then they moved to Missouri.
See, little Grace was banks of Plum Creek. Grace got the scarlet fever with all of them. She was just a baby. And there's 10 years between Laura and Grace. That'd be 12 years between her and Mary.
So wait, De Smet, is that what I read where Laura got married to Mr. Wilder?
I think so, yeah.
And then as a married couple,
they lived out there, yeah. They had their own place, and then it got hot and dry for 7 years. They lost crop after crop after crop. Then they moved into town and bought a place, or rented a place.
Okay.
And then they saved up enough money from her working and him working, and they moved.
Did they come down this way?
Yeah.
So this is the path they took, and the cities along the way, or
their trail.
That's their trail. Okay. All the way down here to Missouri.
Yeah.
Where we're at now in Mansfield.
Right.
That is to gain the concept that up here is the prairie where the little House on the Prairie story took place in real life. It was based off her childhood experiences before she got married up here.
South Dakota.
And
by the shores of Silver Lake, the long winter little house town on the prairie that's happened golden days in the first 4 years.
So those books happened here.
And then
the books were lived.
And this little house on the prairie here at Independence, I guess.
And we've got 1879 by Charles Ingalls family and 1894 by Almanzo and Laura with their daughter Rose.
See, this is their trail.
Right.
This is them.
Yeah, so you've got the chicken feet trail and then the straight one. Yeah, so that's cool. Even though she wrote them way down here, what they happened up there. Because we have a lot of prairies in Missouri, so I think a lot of people think, oh, if they happened here in Missouri till they come in here and study it. Because I think I'm deeply rooted Missourian, like all the way back into the 1700s.
Yeah.
So people were already settled here in Missouri. But yet, this wasn't as settled, I guess. Oh, that's why they moved. 7 years of drought.
The house burned.
And, okay.
The baby died. They had diphtheria, and Almanzo became crippled. The weather was cold and wet.
So they just felt like it'd be safer down in the Ozarks of Missouri.
I think that they thought his health might be better.
Kind of like sometimes they say people in Missouri who have troubles with allergies, they go to Arizona.
So Anyway, the Mr. Sherwin went down here and got apples and came back up and was bragging about all these apples and how good a place it was down here and a lot of trees and all that. And like I told you, this up here is all you can see there, just acres and acres of nothing.
Right.
Prairie. So he was bragging about the town, and he got him a job and meeting with his family, Mr. Sherwood did, and moved back down here.
Gotcha.
So they decided, them and the Cooley family, to travel together and come home back down here. So that's what they did.
Gotcha. Without Pa's fiddle, we never would have gotten through our trials without Pa's fiddle. I love it. And there's the fiddle. That's cool. And a picture of Pa. 1894. So we're past the Louisiana Purchase and the Lewis and Clark expedition.
And the Pacific Railroad out there in 1849 was the last.
So all of these things, even the Trail of Tears had already happened. I like putting things in context. The Oregon Trail had happened. So the railroad had come through, and then they moved out here in what year? What year?
1894.
Oh, well after 1849.
Yeah.
So all these things were happening maybe, when was she born?
1867.
I'm testing your...
1867.
1867. So all things had happened before she was born.
Yeah.
I got a glare on the glass, but there's her dad
Right here.
and her mom.
And we don't know if that's the real brother and sister or step.
So
And
those
that's
are
the
her
stepdad.
mother's parents.
That's Carolyn. Yeah, Carolyn's mother and her stepdad
Wow.
and their brother and sister. But I don't know if they're half brothers and sisters. We don't know.
Gotcha.
Or real. I mean, if they already had them before she married her, because their dad drowned it in the.
I don't know about all that. So this is her mother and father.
Yeah,
Cool.
it's land farmers.
Yeah. Free Land to Farmers Homestead Act in 1862, and she was born in 1867, which would say why,
5 years later.
yeah, which would say why they were out there in Wisconsin.
That's why he kept moving. They'd freeze out or dry out, and they'd have to move somewhere else. And when they went to independence, the Indians were going to kill them, so they had to leave out there. 'Cause they
Oh, so when they went to Independence, Kansas,
yeah, that was the Indian.
the Indians were going to kill them there.
Yeah, it was Indian land. They didn't know it.
Boy,
They dug a well and built a house and everything. And he would build them houses. So he must have been a pretty good carpenter.
yeah, he must have. That was Philip Charles. I got to get all my names straight. So the first book was Little House in the Big Woods, and it was based on that Wisconsin Pepin place.
Yeah.
Got it. Cool. Which I understand they have historic sites in those places too that you can go visit. I'm going to have to ask my son which one he proposed to his wife at. I got pictures of it. And is this the second book, Farmer Boy?
Yeah.
You know, I don't remember reading all these, but I do remember growing up watching, what's the name of the actor?
To see how bad Michael was.
Landon. Michael Landon and the woman.
I don't know. Allowed the video.
Here is the museum where we were just at, and I had to stop videoing because she said I couldn't video, but I had already videoed some. And then we're going to drive out and drive over, but I can also see the house right there, and then go back out, and we're going to drive around to see the outside of the rock house. I did not pay to go on the tours. There's restrooms over there, and on this side we enter to the house. We could have walked up here. So here is the home, or the farmstead, I think, where Laura Ingalls Wilder lived. I did not pay to get to take a tour because I got here late. They offered me a cheaper price for just the museum. Here's the sign. You can pause the video and read. So zooming in for a few points, now that I've read it, she was born in 1867 up in Pepin, Wisconsin, but after she married Almanzo, they left DeSmet, South Dakota, which is just west, across Minneapolis into South Dakota from where she was born in Wisconsin. They're all lined up, and they purchased this 40 acres, and it's called Rocky Ridge. And in 1911 she started as a journalist, writing about her rural life, and then between 1932 and 1943 she published the Little House books, which it says she wrote here. And then Almanzo died in 1949 at age 92, and she died in 1957 at the age of 90. Go back up to the top. That's where it says her Little House books were written here on the Rocky Ridge farm, her home for over 60 years. The tour that starts at 4:30, and you must have tickets. I do not have that kind of ticket. I would like to tour it. Walking the dogs. Boy, this is a beautiful front yard. And there's the house. It's a rather large house. And the museum's right there, and you can walk up here if you want to. Wilder Rock House. Up this way. Wilder Rock House. Laura and Almanzo's home from 1928 to 1937. So I was told I could walk around the outside with the ticket I bought, but not take the tour. So I get it now. So Rose Wilder Lane is Laura and Almanzo Wilder's daughter, and she grew up in that White House we were just at called Rocky Ridge Farm, and she went abroad and she did some writing, which is interesting. And when she returned, she wanted to build her parents a modern house, so she built this rock house for them, gave them the keys on Christmas, and she continued living in the farmhouse, the white farmhouse. Then in 1936, when Rose left Missouri to go to New York City, her parents returned to the White House. That's why they only lived here from 28 to 36. And here's the house. Walk down there. This is so quaint. I love it. I'd love to take a trip inside, but alas, I can't. Wow, I would love windows like that. Looking out over a view like that. Look at the mountains, the Ozark Mountains. Wouldn't you love to wake up and look at that? I can imagine this filled with snow. Texture is amazing. I'd like to peek in the windows. The back side, which is actually the front side, I think. There's a trail. You can walk from the White House to this house. She said I could peek in the windows. There's the kitchen looking through to the living room, it looks like. That's a cool kitchen. Very small bedroom. The same room. I can see another bedroom in there. Bathroom. Bedroom. I actually love this brick, and look how it changes. I don't know why from this to this, but the texture is totally yummy. The Little House books began here. While living at the Rock House is when she started writing the Little House books, which made her famous. So Little House in the Big Woods, Farmer Boy, Little House on the Prairie, and On the Banks of Plum Creek were written in this house, and I guess the other ones were written in the White farmhouse. And the daughter also wrote a novel called Let the Hurricane Roar.